Hi everyone, welcome to day 30. If you haven't watched day 29, that was a bit of a struggle to get the correct tone of purple. So what I ended up doing is I mixed up different type of purples, went over the lilac and tried to get it to the right color for me personally, because I do find purple quite offensive. In the end, after I finished filming, and this was like in the late evening, I looked at my illustration and I just thought, right, I have to do something to it. So I pulled out a Molotov acrylic pen and just went over with a lilac color, and it worked out so perfectly now, because that type of purple is exactly the color that works really well with this juicy green. So never give up, and there is an understanding of color and being comfortable with it. So if there is a certain color that doesn't make you feel comfortable, try to get there, even if you have to try out other art supplies like pencils. You could layer some beautiful color pencils over your watercolors. You can add some more dimension as well as change the tone of the color, and you can just basically take acrylic markers, and that is also easy to go through small areas like this. Enough said about day 29. We will start with day 30. As you can see, the sun is slowly creeping in. This is a beautiful day. We haven't had a proper sunny day like this in a really long time, which was good for my filming. However, today is going to be a little bit challenging, so I will have to reorganize things on my desk and we will get another illustration done. Just a quick recap. As always, I have already stamped out the swatches and I've used my palette swatches for that. Then I have gone ahead, illustrated the main flower. For this little double spread here, I'm going to do a smaller flower, as you notice, compared to the slightly larger before and even larger before that. And I'm going to use a few elements from the summer florals and the botanical sets as well to create a mandala inspired illustration. All of these stamp sets are available on alyonacreates.com, so head over there if you're interested to get some. I just realized I've never shown you the back of these. I'm going to start by stamping this petal element. It's the largest petal from the long petals. Can be used as a leaf as well. And I'm going to stamp it 4 times. Up above and down below, to the left and to the right. To elongate it on both sides, I'm going to add something at the top. I like my floral mandalas to have a more oval shape rather than just a square or round. I will move on to my summer floral stamp set and just kind of audition a few of them. I'm going to go for this element right here. Now I'm going to use this element and I'm going to place it central between all of these large petals. I picked this particular element purely because I want to also nestle in some of the black berries. And when I say black, I mean the ones that I fill in with black color. I love them for contrast and they're great fillers, and they kind of immediately add that modern illustrative style for botanical art. So there's a number of options that I have here. So these will be too big, as will be these ones, so I have another option here. And in this case, we're not going to stamp it up here, we want to fill in this area. And then also wipe off if you have any extra. And then I'm just going to stamp it. I'm also going to head back to my botanical set, and I will use this element right here. I want to fill in these areas that look a little bit empty. So let's start by lining things out, because as you can see the sun is very close now. So I'm going to start with the top, and I'm gonna turn this into a leaf. So I'm going to draw a line in the middle. With these leaves on the side here, I think for now I'm going to leave them floating, just like I have it with these flowers here. So I don't always connect everything. I will see how I like it, and in the end I can always add a connecting line. So I'm just going to go ahead, line everything out. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill in the berries with black before I consider any color palettes. I just wanted to show you something really quickly. There is a color like the one that I used in the acrylic marker from Molotov in a watercolor. So this is the Daniel Smith Lavender, and it would have been a perfect match. It's slightly more bluer than this one, but actually very, very close. So I could have just gone in straight with this color and it would have been perfect. So here it is. It's that kind of opaque, milky lilac. Let's add some color. I'm going to stay safe today with my color choices and go for something that I know will work. So I'm going to start with the green gold on the main leaves. Then I'm going to go into moss green and kind of mix it in. Into the smaller leaves. I had to draw the curtain because there was no more space left without the sunshine penetrating the desk. So I've got beautiful greenery going on, good starting point. For the flower I'm going to go into Quinacridone Sienna, which is a beautiful orange. And I have been really enjoying this sort of glazing technique, so I'm going to do that again, just by starting with Quinacridone Sienna first, then making sure it's completely dry before I glaze over with Opera Pink. Dessa fantasia foi sentimento e a fotografia tudo que ficou. And then I'm going to go into yellow. This is Indian yellow, and I'm going to just add it into the flowers. Probably will swap to a smaller brush at this point. It's that kind of anticipation for Opera Pink. Once I start adding it or glazing with it or mixing with it, everything feels just right. And there are different ways of mixing, so to speak. You could mix it on the palette. You could do wet into wet and let the colors mix on paper. Or you could do glazes, which also will change the tone. So now let's do wet into wet while things are still glossy, as you can see on the paper. So I'm going to go into my Opera Pink, load it on the brush, and then just dab it into the very tops. And I hope it's still wet enough for it to just mix in. If not, you can also help it, which I'll show you how to do. So you can go into water, making sure it's not too much water, but the brush is wet enough. And then just drop a little bit of water and wiggle your brush where you placed the Opera Pink. And that will help it to move and create this lovely gradient, like it has done here naturally. If the color has flown too much in, you can just lift it with the tip of a brush. So that's that. And now I'm going to leave these two flowers to consider last, but I will show you this time how I created these scallops because I want to add them. So I'm just going to take my liner again, fine liner, this is 01, and just add these scallop shapes like that all around. It looks very ornamental when there are little details like that, just a little extra. It's totally optional, don't have to, but sometimes if I want to change things up, I find ways of adding detail that is new and it will look kind of fresh and more curious and more exciting rather than just doing exactly the same thing always, you know, there's always something that you could add. So I'm going to wait for everything to dry and then add our glaze to the flower. Now going back in with Opera Pink and just glazing over it. There's something about a glaze which makes it more vibrant and glowy rather than mixing the two colors on a palette and then adding them together. As you go, you can also dab Opera Pink throughout as well, just to make it stand out a bit more in some areas. Especially if you pull it towards the center, you will see the pinkiness come through a bit more. Now to add a bit more color, I could go with red or I could go with the pink. Red feels better here actually. So let's do red. Again, I'm going to swap to my smaller brush. And repeat the same on the second flower. While the red flower is still drying, I'm going to just go ahead and add a little bit of definition into these large leaves, and I'm going to do that with that same moss green that we use for the other flowers, and just add a little bit of it at the tip here, and then I'm going to blend it out. Like so. It just adds that little extra bit of finish to your illustration. And you can do the same on all of the other leaves. Now I'm going to add a little color to the scallops of the flower. Now, originally I thought I was going to add yellow to it, but I decided to go with the hot opera pink. Just create a really sort of saturated, not a watery, but quite a thick mix, because we want the opera pink to really stand out, and then just literally dot into these small little areas. And it's such a cute combo with the red and the hot pink, and I'm going to do that throughout the entire flower and repeat the same at the top. Let's swatch out the colors, and I'm going to go with the first one being the yellow. We've got 6 colors, so I'm going to do, as always, 2 for each and then 3 for one of them. Then we have the red. I'm gonna do 3 swatches for the pink. I just like pink and it works so well. And then finally the 2 greens.
Tudo que restou dessa fantasia foi sentimento e a fotografia. Tudo que ficou foi uma poesia e o eterno amor dessa alma vazia.
I'm also going to add a 3rd glaze, I decided. Just because I want to bring a lift to the main flower. I'm just going to go over it. Kind of push the orange slightly more back is the idea here. And create like a beautiful peach. And now it really connects beautifully to the rest of the color palette. And now let's have a look at our finished illustration. So today, as you can see, there's a lot more greenery and the color palette is beautiful because I feel super comfortable with it. There's just something about color for me that, you know, with the purple, I keep going back to the purple, but the purple, the reason I find it so offensive, it's because it clashes with so many colors, bringing this balance to a painting. And purple for me is that color, and very rarely one can make it work. And that's sort of my feeling with the purple. That's why I kind of not too keen on it. But let's go back and have a look at these colors here. I find that the red really added a nice bit of contrast and depth in value, and that is that. Let's just have a quick look at the previous illustrations that we had with the mandala inspired spread. So these were different, but we have 6 mandala illustrations, and I'm gonna give you day 25, day 26, 27 and 28. So as you can see, they have a very similar color palette throughout, and it just works beautifully. I think also on a spread you don't want to be jumping, you know, to different colors too much. I find that the spread looks more harmonious when you sort of stick to a similar-ish color palette. And then we have these two. So I tried something different here and it really threw me off, but then I came back with my comfortable color palette. Let me know what your comfortable color palette is down below in the comments. And we have got day 31 to look forward to. As you can see, it will be a full page illustration to finish the World Watercolor Month, and it's been an exciting journey, so I am quite hyped to do this illustration, but at the same time a little bit nervous because I don't want to mess it up being the last one for the month. So I'll see you tomorrow. It's gonna be a big day. Thanks for watching.